All right, here we go. We are going to factor. All right, so the first thing you're going to do, of course, you are going to, step one, look for the GCF. Okay, I would suggest you write these down. I would suggest you pause it right now. Go ahead and write these down. These steps will be the same steps you take every single time. You're going to need to know, what are we going to use? Here is your factoring guide. Okay, for your factoring guide, step one, check for a GCF. I'm going to tell you, I would not do this in order right here, 2 terms, 3 terms. That would not be my order. Notice at the top here, you've got 2 terms. First thing we want to do is we want to see, after you find the GCF, you're going to want to look to see, does it have 2 terms? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. A term is basically a multiplication of either numbers, variables, there could be exponents, doesn't matter, but the point is that it's separated by an operation. Okay, one on the left, one on the right. That is different than this one. Trinomial has 3, like a tricycle has 3 wheels. Trinomials have 3 terms, 1, 2, 3, all separated by a plus or minus sign. I'm just going to go back because I don't want to have that on there. So your first step to deciding how you're going to factor, I don't know why it keeps doing this. Your first step to finding out how you're going to factor is you're going to look for a GCF. Not only are you going to look for it, but then you're going to actually apply it, pull out the GCF. We already did that. But every step's going to be the same. Every time we do it, we're just going to be looking for it. I'm going to let you know right up front, right now, that none of these will have a GCF because we're going to focus on the ones that don't. Okay, first. How many terms are there? 2, 3, or 4? We're going to focus on the 3. So basically all of these questions, all these answers will be the same. Step 3, does A equal 1? In assignment 9, A was 1. What does that mean? We look over here. So we are going to be focusing not on these ones. We're going to be focusing today on these ones. So let's take a look at how they're different. Over here, your A was 1. Your A means, that's interesting. Your A, so basically we have this. It says ax squared plus bx plus c. All that means is, where is that letter? So if we put them in order, mathematicians like order, we put our x squared first, we put our x to the first power next, and we put the one that does not have an x, we put it last. We put them in order. Once you put them in order, whatever number comes in front of your x squared, we're going to call it A. Whatever number comes in front of your x to the first power, we're going to call it B, and whatever number that is. So over here, there's my x squared. What's the number that comes in front of the x squared? It's invisible. It's a 1. So if you write it in there, you're like, oh, my A is 1. We're looking for ones that have A is 1. Well, what the heck? What's wrong with this one? That's not a 1. Because what you do is look for your GCF first. If I factor out a 3 here, that's still 3x squared plus 3x minus 6, but it looks different. But once I do that, now my A is 1. So all of these ones here, it's the easy one. It's the one where you're going to see where it says multiplies to C, adds to B if you make your x. You take this is your A, no, this is your A, this is your B, this is your C. Multiplies to get C. So 2 numbers multiplied together to get -2. 2 numbers, those same 2 numbers, so when you add them together, you should get B. 2 numbers, let's see. 2 times 1 is 2. One of them has to be negative. Which one? Well, 2 minus 1 is 1. So 2 minus 1, and 2 times -1 gives you -2. So then you're going to take this 3, bring it down, and you're going to put your x. This is a positive 2. And you're going to take, so basically you're just taking this one, you're putting it here, and then you're going to take this one, do a different color. You're going to take your different color and put it here. So this becomes x. It's a -1, so -1. And that's how to factor. That's how to factor a trinomial with 3 terms. That is our goal today. So here we go. First step. What was our first step again? Look for a GCF. Is there any number that goes to number or letter that goes into all 3 of those terms? Hopefully your answer was no. It does not have a GCF. How many terms does it have? Hopefully you said 3. Does A equal 1? Yes, it does. That means what we're going to do is we're going to use the x method. We want 2 numbers that when I multiply them together, that is not what I meant to do. Let's do it again. When I multiply them together, I get that number C, A, B, C. When I add them together, I should get 8. I want 2 numbers. When I multiply them together, I get 7. Well, obviously, that's 7 and 1. Oh, look. And when I add them, I get 8. So what are my factors? They are x, because x, oops, not x. In this case, it's f. F plus 7 and f plus 1. Bingo, there's my answer. Here we go, factor. First step, GCF, look for a GCF. Is there a GCF? No, there is no GCF. What's the second step? How many terms are there? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 terms. Let me get rid of it. Next step. So basically, that's what this is, right? So we want to know which one we're going to use. Well, if there's not 2 terms, we're not going to do these. Then we look, oh, there's 3 terms, so it's either going to be this one or this one. Well, if A is 1, it's this one. If A is greater than 1, it's this one. This first one, A was 1. The second one, A does not equal 1. Because A does not equal 1, instead of just taking this number and putting it here and this number and putting it there, we have to do something extra. You can actually use the X method, Xbox method. Yes, I said Xbox. You can actually use this the Xbox method with this particular type of problem, but what we want to do is we want to try and get out of that. Okay? So this is what you do. You still want 2 numbers. Once you know this is a squared, you know you're going to have a binomial. By the way, binomial. Binomial means two factors. So it's going to be like x plus 3 and x minus 2. But they're going to multiply to give us this whole thing right here. So we got to figure out, well, it's definitely not going to be x. Silly. There's an h right there. All right, but we need these 2 terms. The first 2 terms, the first term in each of the binomial, we need them to multiply to give us 2. Well, that's pretty cool because that makes it easy. There are only 2 numbers that are going to give me to multiply to get 2, and those are 1 times 2. So, I don't know, you want to put the 1 here or the 2 there? Or do you want to put the 2 there and the 1 there? Who cares? You just have to pick one. Okay, so let's do 2. H, right? I got 2 H's, so I'm going to put 1 there, and I'm going to put 1 there. Now, I need this last number here and here. I need those 2 numbers to multiply together to give me 9. All right, so what are those numbers? Let's see, I know 1 and 9 is 9, 1 times 9. I know 3 times 3, so I'm going to write them down here. This would be my biggest suggestion to you, is to write them down. The bigger the numbers you get, the harder it's going to be, the more factors you're going to have. So what you're going to want to do is keep track of where you put them and what you did. But instead of keeping track, you know what's better than that? Is just rewrite it again. 2h and h. How many different ways can we do it? Well, I can put a 1 there and a 9 there. Can I switch them? I sure can. I could have a 9 there and a 1 there. Were there any more that I could do? I'm going to keep this here just so I don't make a mistake and screw everything up. I'm going to just keep the first ones the same way each time. I'm just going to change the second one around. All right, so we also have 3 and 3, and if I switch the 3s, well, it's just the same thing over again. So now I'm going to check to see which one works. One of them has to work. Well, it doesn't have to. If it doesn't work, it's not factorable. But I'm going to give you a little hint here. Okay, the hint is that I'm not going to give you any that aren't factorable yet. Okay, it will happen later, but not right now. All right, so we got 2h squared. Cool. I got 18. I'm going to write that number down somewhere just to double check. And I've got 1 times 1, which is 1. Now at this point, what I'm looking for is those two numbers. I want them to add them together, and I want to subtract them. 18 minus 1 is 17. So it's either going to be 19 or 17, these numbers here. But I want it to be 11. So if it's not 11, that doesn't work. So now we're going to do it again. I've got 2 times h. Cool, 2h squared. 2. I've got 9 times 1. So I've got 9. So far I have 9 and 2. And then I want to see if I add them or subtract them, do I get 11? 9 plus 2 is 11. So here we're going to use, this is the correct one. Because I need it all to be plus, this is a plus and this is a plus. Turns out this is a plus and this is a plus. Okay, this one doesn't work. 6, 3. 6 plus 3 is 9. 6 minus 3 is 3. We need it to be 11. Okay, and there's your answer. So your answer would be 2h. I know it's a little messy. There's your answer. All right, one more time. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to pull another. All right, at this point, I'm going to ask you to pause it, and I'm going to ask you to give this one a shot yourself. Okay? Welcome back. I'm sure you paused it and gave it a shot yourself, and I hope you got it. All right, so the first thing we do is look for step 1. Is there a GCF? No, there is not. Okay, so that means we're going to move on to the next step. Step 2. Step 2, what was it again? What was it again? How many terms are there? I don't know why this keeps sticking. How many terms are there? There are 3. 3 terms. Your next step is we want to know, does A equal 1 or is A greater than 1? It looks like it's greater than 1. So that means we can't just use the X method, put this number on the top, put this number on the bottom, 2 numbers when you multiply it, because you're not going to get it. Every once in a while you will get one that actually works here, but then if you actually plug it in over here, it just doesn't work. Okay. So because your A is greater than 1 and you have 3 terms, the only thing you can do is basically you want to make it so you have binomial times binomial. Now here's where it gets a little bit harder, right? Because I need the factors of 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 1 and 10, 2 and 5. Those are my factors of 10. And over here, these are the easy ones, right? This one ends up being, this one, it tells us which one is the actual correct one. Oh, and I'm running out of time. So let me do this real quick. So this is 1 and 2. So I'm going to put a W here, a W here. I definitely know it's either 1 here and 2 there, or vice versa. And then I'm either going to put a 1 and a 10 or a 2 and 5 and keep switching them. So right now I got 2 and 10. That didn't work, so I'm going to put the 10 here, the 1 there. I got 20 and 1. That's too big. This is 2 and 5. I got 10 and 5. That's still too big. I'm going to put the 5 here and the 2 there. I got 4 and 2. Uh-oh.